Hi guys, my name is Naomi, also known as One Authentic Heart, blogging and vlogging at www.oneauthenticheart.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. So I haven't made a video for a couple of weeks, but I thought I'd make one today, just featuring an issue which I think that a lot of us can struggle with, and I know it's something that I've certainly struggled with and still do from time to time. And the issue came up when I was reading the end of 1 Samuel. So what I'm talking about happens in 1 Samuel chapter 30. And essentially, so that we can put a bit of context to the story and what's been going on, there's been a whole lot of drama with David. One of the most common stories that we, I suppose, associate with David is his defeat of Goliath. But after that, there were a lot more defeats which took place. The Lord continually spoke to David about who he had put into David's hands in order that he would be victorious over whoever the opposition were. And David continually got these words from God saying, go to this place, even though this person seems great, even though their number is bigger than your number, you will be able to defeat them. I've given them into your hand. And this continually happened. And obviously, even though David is the person that's documented at this point in time, at this point in the story, there were a lot of people that were with him. There were a lot of people that were with him that were never named and were never mentioned in the word, but we know that he had a big group of people, and we know that from these scriptures that I wanted to talk about today. So in 1 Samuel 30, let's go to verse 9. It said, "So David set out, and the 600 men who were with him, and they came to the brook Besor, where those who were left stayed. But David pursued, he and 400 men. 200 stayed behind, who were too exhausted to cross the brook Besor." So, first thing we notice is that he didn't just have a couple of people. David had 600 men. But as they're going on to this next battle, this next challenge, which God has presented them with, 200 of those 600 decide that they want to stay behind. They say that they're too exhausted. They say that they're tired. They recognize that they're at the end of their own resources, and it would not be wise nor beneficial for the rest of them or for themselves if they were to continue and carry on in this journey. They needed to stop and rest for a while. They recognized that. And so it goes on. So it continues. And what happens is that David and his men, as the Lord promised, are successful. And then they come back. So that was verses 9 and 10. Now we come back to verse 20. "David also captured all the flocks and herds, and the people drove the livestock before him and said, 'This is David's spoil.'" So we know he's been successful. Verse 21. "Then David came to the 200 men who had been too exhausted to follow David and who had been left at the brook Besor. And when they went out to meet David and to meet the people who were with him, and when David came near to the people, he greeted them. Then all the wicked and worthless fellows among the men who had gone with David said, 'Because they did not go with us, we will not give them any of the spoil that we have recovered, except that each man may lead away his wife and children and depart.' But David said, 'You shall not do so, my brothers, with what the Lord has given us. He has preserved us and given into our hand the band that came against us. Who would listen to you in this matter? For as his share is who goes down to battle, so shall his share be who stays by the baggage. They shall share alike.'" So I just found that whole connection really interesting when I was reading this yesterday. The guys, and something to notice is that they're not just any men that went with David. They're described as wicked and worthless fellows who went with David. So it's not all of the 400, I'd imagine, but some of them were basically saying, "Look, we put all the hard work in. These lot said they were tired and they wanted to rest. We put all the hard work in, so why are we giving them any of the spoil? Why are we giving them any of what we've received in battle? This makes no sense." And David quite rightly says to them, in verse 23, you shall not do so, my brothers, with what the Lord has given us. He has preserved us and given into our hand the band that came against us. This is not for people to decide and dictate who gets what, because God has given this spoil. God has given the victory. And so David, as the leader, said, look, these guys have been with us. You know they've been with us. They were tired at this point, but that doesn't mean suddenly they don't get to partake just because you went and did whatever you did and these guys decided to rest. And I feel like this is just it was definitely something that struck me, because sometimes I can feel like, oh, I'm working so hard, I'm doing all of this and they're just doing that, and why don't I? And it's just this kind of complaining, grumbling attitude, when actually we have to decide before God, what is it that he's asking us to do? It might be that someone is doing way, way more than us. It might be that someone's doing way, way less than us. But we are not to compare, because God has given us our own race. God has given us our own purpose, our own journey. And if we are sure that before God, we are honouring him with our time, with our gifts, with our resources, with our talents, then we shouldn't feel the need to compare to other people and complain when it seems as though other people are doing better or are more successful or are having it easier than we seemingly have it. Because it is down to God and God alone. So that was just a little thought that I wanted us to really think about today. Are we victim to comparison? Do we envy others at what an easy life it seems that they have, or what little they have to do in order to receive so much? That's just something to think about as we go into the rest of the week. Don't compare, just stay with what God has called you to do and fix your eyes on that. Thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and tune in next time for the next video, or over at the blog for the next written post. Also my Facebook page, Instagram page and my Twitter, which you can find all under one page at www.oneauthenticheart.com. Thanks so much for watching, guys. God bless.